Cool. So shall we start? So this is the next part of the presentation. Can you see? Hello? So the next part of the presentation is going to be how to describe a CTG. As I said, this is just an example CTG. We're taking just the general gist. Most of the time, it's going to be somebody else presenting the CTG, not me. So you're not going to have me for an entire session. That's not usually helpful. I know that. So I have 10 minutes to sum this up somehow. CTG assessment. It doesn't start in the room. It actually starts in the handover room. When we're talking outside, when we're standing outside on the board, that's when you start assessing your CTG. Not because you can see the central monitoring, even before that. So the central monitor is a good thing because it's a good teaching tool. I don't think it's helpful at handover. The reason being, yes, it tells me how urgent things have to be, but it actually takes away a very important point, which I'm just going to make. So when we're doing handover, we always start off by defining the clinical session. The clinical setting, what gestational age, what antenatal events, yeah? So for today's patient, she is a prima gravida, 40 weeks and 2 days. She's being induced for abdominally triangular artery Dopplers at 20 weeks. And when she came in, or she actually presented several times with reduced fetal movements, okay? She had normal growth scans. And when she was admitted for prostaglandin induction, she was actually found to be 2 centimeters dilated, hence was transferred to labor work for an ARM. Okay. So once we have that in our minds, now that we're standing outside the room for the handover once again, so going through that history once again outside the room, you now have the luxury of actually you're carrying the notes in your hands. The first thing that you should do is look at her previous CTG traces before you actually go into the room. Okay, obviously there's the clinical management. We're not discussing that at the moment. We're just discussing how the CTG is how we're gonna assess the CTG. So for this specific lady, this is her CTG at 28 weeks. Can you guys see that? Okay, so baseline here looks at around 140. Yeah. Okay, this is at 36 weeks when she came in with reduced fetal movements. You see the number of movements. She came in with reduced fetal movements. Yeah. Okay, baseline again 140, comes down here to about 135. Okay, 2 weeks later, she's coming back saying again, baby's not moving. That's her trace. Okay, 39 weeks, she comes saying actually baby now is moving too frequently. What's wrong with my baby? It's really moving now. Okay, baseline here is 120. Yeah. Okay. And the last trace that is in the notes is when she came in for her induction, before her induction. Well, baseline here looks like it's 140, 60, although this looks like it's a very active baby. You see that? Okay. So we've heard the story. We've seen the old CTGs. What's happening at the moment? Well, this lady was examined and she was found to be 6 centimeters, and they managed to ARM her, and there was clear LICOR. Okay. Before you set foot in the room, which is why I'm saying the display outside is actually not helping, you need to set the limits that you're expecting on the trace before you ever lay eyes on the trace. Our eyes and our brain tends to work to try and put things into normal. Once you look at a trace, your eyes are always going to see that as the normal. Okay. If you've already seen the trace, you'll always say, yeah, it looks like it's normal. It's 155. That's a normal range. That's fine. But what's normal for this baby? If I set a standard, anything that deviates from that standard, I will pick that up. If I don't set a standard, then my brain is going to try and bring that to normal. That's why I say looking at it on the handover room is actually not helpful. So what do you think the normal is going to be for this baby? 140, but there's 120 at some point. Remember, it was 140 at 28 weeks, remained 140 at 36. At 38, 39 weeks, it was 130, 120. So range between 120 to 140? Should it be 145, 150? Is that normal? Normal for most babies, or for many babies, but not necessarily for this baby. This baby was 140 at 28 weeks. It shouldn't be the same at 40 weeks and 2 days today. Okay, so let's define the risk. We've already said that. She's being induced, although she's not actually being induced. There's abnormally trial arteriodoppers at 20 weeks. Okay, and we said maybe the placenta is not necessarily working properly. Growth scans were normal though. Okay, but we don't know what reserve this baby has. Remember, growth is a further step than reserve. You start off by saving money, and if you can't save money, if you have less money, then you start redistributing your pay. Yeah, if you have reserves, you can. But okay, so she is contracting. She's in labor. She's 6 centimeters, so I'm expecting that there's contractions there. Baseline rate we already described. Variability and cycling should have normal variability. Should still be cycling. That should. Okay, accelerations. Potentially, not necessarily. She's in labor, so not necessarily. Decelerations. Yes, she's in labor. She's contracting, and we've just ARM'd her, so we can have decelerations. That's not a problem. Okay. So we go into the room and we look at this. Is that what we expected? That's exactly what we described. That's the baseline of 120. That's accelerations there. There's some decelerations there. Contractions, a little bit more than what I'd like for this baby. But this is exactly what I expected, yes? So this trace is normal. I can actually say this trace is completely normal for this baby. Okay, so a little bit more detail. How do we set the baseline? How do we describe contractions first? So we said doctor C bravado, doctor is a defined risk. C, and we missed the Q, by the way. Yeah, the quality. Okay, how do you assess quality of the trace? What does good quality mean? No loss of contact? What does that mean? Yes, so you have a trace that you can easily describe the rest of the features from. If you have loss of contact so much so that you can't describe anything, well, that's not good quality, is it? Okay, there's no fixed definition for a good or bad quality, but the reality is if you cannot describe the features, that's not good quality. Yeah, okay. Contractions, so they appear on the Tocco bar, yes? Okay, what does the Tocco bar actually tell us? What can we measure from the Tocco bar? The frequency of the contractions, not the strength, okay? Duration, maybe, but not necessarily. You still have to have your hand on the abdomen to feel that, okay? And it can give you an idea whether there is normal tone in between, or is it actually settling or not? But again, that has to be a palpation more than just looking at the trace. It's mainly the frequency that you may be able to actually tell. If you're not picking it up properly, you can't even tell that. Okay. Baseline. So to assess the baseline, I'm rushing through because we're already at 9 o'clock. So just a very brief description. We're not going to finish the case. As I said, there's not many important features. Okay, so you're basically going to block out accelerations, decelerations, and episodes of increased variability. What normally helps is look at what you actually have. So I'm assessing 30 minutes here, and I have a good 18, 19 minutes. That's more than 50%. That's okay. If I have less than 50%, I am heading towards subacute hypoxia. If I have less than 30% or 1/3, this baby is becoming compromised. Even if the baseline is still stable, yes, baby has a lot of reserve, but it is becoming compromised. Okay? That is pretty much what we used to say. That was the definition of subacute hypoxia. So 2 to 1. Okay, and if you look a little bit closer, you can see that the baby is cycling. Yeah, decelerations, so accelerations, sorry. Accelerations have to start from the baseline and have to settle to the baseline, which means that actually on this trace, there is no accelerations at all. Okay, so some people would look at this and say, is this an acceleration? And the answer is no, because it settles into a deceleration. That's more likely a quad compression, that's a shouldering. Okay, people take accelerations as a happy event, as a reassuring thing, which is why accelerations have to be very, very specific in their definition. Accelerations have to fulfill 5 things. So they start from the baseline, come back to the baseline. It's a rapid rise, so it goes up within less than 30 seconds. Okay, it lasts for less than 10 minutes. Okay, and variability is maintained within. Okay, and 15 by 15. Yeah, sorry, not variability, it's the 15 by 15. Yeah, as I said, we're just gonna talk through that and what to expect and what to see, but we've already run out of time. Hopefully next time there's gonna be more of a case and a smaller bit of theory. Next time we'll talk about physiology of hypoxia again. So if you have actually seen the video that's online, has anyone actually gone onto the website? Okay, cool. Thank you. You're welcome. Guys online, do you have any questions? You're welcome, Fatima. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed.
You're welcome, Victoria. Thank you.